styles. What's more, as seen in both of these scenarios, he can seemingly choose specific targets he wants to attack with his haki instead of attacking everyone in his vicinity. His knowledge and understanding of this power are probably one of the greatest in the series, shown when he trained Luffy, a complete novice, and turned him into a really strong haki user in only 2 years. Oda, the author of One Piece, stated that Rayleigh's Conqueror haki was at least twice as potent as Luffy's by the time of the Fishman Island arc, and that Rayleigh could have knocked out all 100,000 of the new Fishman pirates. At the end of each character, I'll also rank how strong their Conqueror's haki is, and based on all of this, Rayleigh definitely belongs in A tier. Boa Hancock, the Pirate Empress. Boa is the captain of the Kuja Pirates and was the only female warlord of the sea before the organization's disbandment. According to Sandersonia and herself, Boa possesses the ability to use Conqueror's haki. While she has not yet showcased her usage of it in the manga, we can actually see her using it in One Piece games Burning Blood and Pirate Warriors 4. However, since the events of those games aren't canon, I'll unfortunately have to put her in D tier for now. Don Quixote Doflamingo, the Heavenly Demon. Doflamingo was one of the strongest warlords in the series, as well as the former world noble and king of Dressrosa. He first awakened his Conqueror's haki when he was around 10 years old, when being pursued by North Blue citizens who tried to continuously torture his family in revenge, knocking them all out. Since then, his proficiency with it had increased greatly, as shown when he knocked out most of the G5 Marines at Punk Hazard. He also used it briefly in his encounter with Luffy when their strikes collided, fighting on par with the Straw Hat. Although we don't have much information to go by when ranking Doflamingo's haki, it's evident that he's very skilled in using it, and therefore, I'll place him in B tier. Straw Hat Luffy. Just like his tutor Silvers Rayleigh, Luffy managed to master all 3 forms of haki in a short period of time. Rayleigh even stated he has a noticeable talent for haki, having mastered the basic applications of all 3 forms in only a year and a half. During pre-time skip, we've seen Luffy using Conqueror's haki unintentionally multiple times. For example, knocking out multiple Kuja warriors, defeating the attacking wolves in Impel Down, knocking out several elite marines at Marineford, and even using it repeatedly to destroy the subscribe button. Alright, that last one's maybe not entirely true, but you should definitely subscribe. Thanks. Anyway, over the 2-year time skip, Rayleigh taught him more about Conqueror haki. Thus, he finally gained conscious control over it. Same as Rayleigh, he became capable of using it on only designated targets without affecting anyone else. We first got to see the extent of his new power on Fishman Island, where he instantly knocked out 50,000 members of the new Fishman pirates. Later in the story, during the raid on Onigashima, while fighting Kaido, Luffy realized that he can infuse himself with haki, doing so on his arms and legs, which dramatically increases his attack power. Combined with his advanced armament haki, this allowed him to deal immensely powerful blows against Kaido, whereas his previous attacks were too shallow. However, since he only discovered this application of Conqueror's haki a few moments prior, his control over it was crude and clumsy, leading to him being swiftly knocked down by the Emperor. Not long after, when Luffy and Kaido clashed for the 3rd time, their imbued Conqueror's haki attacks caused clouds to part, something that had previously only ever occurred whenever 2 of the Emperors clashed against each other or when Roger himself had fought against one. Had one. As such, this might indicate that Luffy's haki has ascended to the same level as that of the strongest pirates in the world. Don Chinjao. Chinjao is a former pirate, the leader of the Chinjao family, and the retired 12th leader of the Hoppo Navy. In his golden age, when he was still a pirate, he was considered a rival to both Garp and Roger and had a bounty of 542 million bellies. During one of his battles against Garp, the Vice Admiral punched him so hard that his head flattened. This incident severely limited his power from then on, and shortly after, he quit being a pirate. Chinjao had shown the ability to use Conqueror's haki during the Dressrosa arc when he knocked out many of the competitors in Block C without laying a finger on them. This is an impressive feat, considering that most of the participants in Kurita Coliseum are strong fighters. Since Chinjao was one of the most famous pirates of his era, his Conqueror's haki should be at least in a B tier. Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world. Edward Newgate was one of the most powerful pirates in history, and while he was still alive, he held the 2nd biggest bounty ever, 5,046,000,000 bellies. Unfortunately, due to his illness, we've never seen him using Conqueror's haki in the present timeline. However, judging by flashbacks from his heyday, he was an absolute beast in using it. He regularly clashed with some of the One Piece legends like Roger and Odin and seemingly never lost a duel. The best example of his haki mastery was displayed in chapter 966, when he fought his longtime rival Goldie Roger. Here, their clashing Halshoku haki was powerful enough to crack the air and generate a shockwave that blew back everything on the island. As you would expect, he was also able to infuse his weapon, Murakumogiri, with his Conqueror's Haki, immensely increasing its strength. In his prime, Whitebeard was basically unstoppable and could pretty much defeat any character in the series. I think we can all agree that this legend deserves to be placed in God tier. Sengoku, the Buddha. Sengoku is actually the first and only Conqueror's Haki user on this list that isn't a pirate. Additionally, he's the only known Marine in the series capable of using all 3 types of Haki. Although Oda, the creator of One Piece, confirmed that Sengoku has Conqueror's Haki, we've never got to see him use it as the former fleet admiral usually stays out of combat. However, judging by his reputation and feats, Sengoku's Haki should definitely be an A tier. Charlotte Lean, Big Mom. Big Mom is one of the most powerful characters in all of One Piece, and being a former emperor, she's capable of utilizing all 3 types of Haki. She first showcased her mastery in using Conqueror's Haki at Sanji and Pudding's wedding when she knocked a man out for questioning her relationship with Mother Carmel. Later, when her portrait of Carmel was destroyed, a distraught Big Mom unleashed her Haki again and incapacitated most of the party guests. She also has a rare ability to infuse Conqueror's Haki into herself, as signified by the black lightning emanating from the infused area. This drastically increases her attack power, and combined with her physical strength and armament Haki, makes her pretty much invincible. The best example is when she fought against Kaido at Onigashima, and the clash of their Conqueror's Hakis created a massive shockwave that split the heavens. As one of the former Emperors of the Sea, Big Mom's Haki should be strong enough to get her into A tier. Charlotte Katakuri. Being undoubtedly the strongest Sweet Commander, same as his mother, Katakuri managed to master all 3 forms of Haki. We've seen this when he released a large burst of Conqueror's Haki along with Luffy's own Haki in order to knock out Charlotte Flampe and her subordinates as punishment for their interruption. Although Katakuri is a very strong pirate with a bounty of over 1 billion bellies, Conqueror's Haki is not his main weapon when it comes to combat, and he mostly relies on other Haki types like observation. Therefore, I'll put him in B tier. Kozuki Odin. Although Odin was a pirate for only 5 years, he achieved many great things, like being a part of both Whitebeard and Roger pirates and finding the Laugh Tale. We've seen Odin using Conqueror's Haki multiple times throughout the series, and each time he managed to clash evenly against very powerful opponents. During his initial encounter with